Last episode, we revealed the framework for measuring product ops ROI, and now it's time to see the proof in action. I'm Webb, and today we're hearing from 5 product operations leaders who've delivered measurable impact, from dramatically improving renewal rates to saving product managers hours every week through automation. And this isn't about theory anymore. It's about Ada's playbooks that unlock scale, Orla's approach to preventing burnout, Anna's customer connection strategies that transformed retention, and Aliyah's voice of customer programs that accelerate insights, and Lucy's automated analysis, saving PMs precious time. These are the success stories that prove product ops isn't a nice to have, it's essential for product excellence. And before we dive in, remember to mark your calendars for September the 12th. I'm hosting a webinar with ProductBoard alongside Anna Prevo, who you'll hear from today. We're revealing how product operations becomes a strategic enabler for AI initiatives across your organization. And here's what most companies get wrong. AI strategy lives at the exec level, but execution gets lost in translation. Now, Product Ops is uniquely positioned to bridge this gap. We'll share the product team success scorecard, measuring team capabilities across voice of the customer, prioritization, data fluency, and stakeholder management, the 4 competencies that separate high-performing teams from the rest. And it will share real-world examples of measurable impact on retention and delivery speed. Plus, we'll give you the exact language and framing to shift leadership conversations from process to outcomes. So remember to register at productboard.com/events or look for the link in the description below. September the 12th. This is the session that could transform how your organization approaches AI enablement. Starting off with you, Ada. Ada, you talk about product ops helping teams achieve scale, speed, and impact, but you've identified something crucial. The repository you've built that shows how siloed teams actually impact each other. Tell us about that transformation.
From a product operations standpoint, in terms of showing ROI, I think it's important for us to sort of start with the why. Why is this important? I think from a product management perspective, they tend to be very siloed in terms of this is the solution that we want to sort of build. But I think when you couple that with product operations, we help to sort of articulate how that unlocks scale, speed, and impact. And so I think the two married together is a perfect combination. So product managers can really focus on the end solution for the user, and we can kind of focus on how we can do that operationally efficiently. And so I think that things I've focused on in my years are building playbooks, documentation, if there are tools and processes in place. Most recently, I worked on sort of a repository as sorts, because I recognize that when you have these product teams that work in silos, they don't necessarily understand the crossover or the impact that their work has on other teams' work. And I think sometimes it's just shining a light on those things to be able to sort of enable more collaboration, quite frankly, and leverage economies of scale.
Ada Johnson really is brilliant. And that point about shining a light on cross-team impact, that's voice of the customer and stakeholder management competencies in action. Orla Mears, you're our next guest, and you've mastered something equally important, using your unique position to spread best practices across teams while preventing burnout. How do you balance standardization with team flexibility?
I think when I look at product operations, we have a very unique position of the ability to look across multiple aspects of the product in our organization. Sometimes when you're specifically focusing on one area of the product, you tend to silo. With product operations, we're in an amazing position where we get to see everything that's going on. Having that higher level view, we can see what best practices are working in some areas, maybe what teams are struggling in others, and taking components out of where the successes are happening and bring them into the team where they're not. Consistency is a big value of mine. I think when something is working really well, you try and understand how you can bring that into another team, even if they're working differently, how you can actually bring little nuggets of good value into other areas. I think you've got to be flexible. The one thing you can never do is go in with the checklist. You know, that in the experience you gain as a product operations person, you cannot say, this is my Bible. This is how we do it from A to Z, because that is never going to be a consistent business model that's going to go into many different teams. What you're doing is you're taking those little concepts and saying, will this work in the team that I'm going in to support? You also have to listen to the nuances of that team. How they work isn't necessarily going to be the same in every other area. So it's really just being clever and strategic about what support you're bringing into that team and giving them value based on their future vision and the direction that they're moving into. In the second example, when you're working with startups, you're growing and scaling so fast that the organization knows what they need to have in place as far as process and structure, but they don't always have the manpower to do that. And if you're falling back on your product managers to do all things for everybody, burnout could potentially happen. So I really try to enforce to anybody that product operations is there to put the wheels under the car, that we will put the structure and the process in place. You tell me your vision and I will help you scale. And I think that's where product operations really shines. I think the secret sauce for me is you can tell a product manager what you think is best, or you can show them what you think is best. I'd have gained trust and respect from people when I show them rather than just talking about it.
Show them rather than just talking about it. That's powerful advice, Anna. You've proven this with hard numbers. You mentioned dramatically increasing renewal rates after implementing customer feedback loops. Walk us through that transformation and its measurable impacts.
So when it comes to talking through and starting to advocate for a product operations program being placed in your company, the first thing I would say is you already have it. It might not be well developed, but it is an aspect of product management already. And you are using these people's time to search for data that might be hard to find, talk to customers, or establish relationships with their CS teams. There might be already barriers there to find out where issues are being raised with customers, or maybe they don't even know, and they're just having some guesswork. And this might result in a feature factory situation where they are simply asked to do something. They're a bit on the mercenary side of things from their stakeholders, and they're often producing features that are not particularly impactful. Maybe they get it out the door quickly, but they aren't actually making much of a difference in solving customer problems. We certainly did, and it resulted in seriously increasing our renewal rates over the course of 2 quarters after implementing this, simply because we just weren't building for our customers. We were building for ourselves, and we didn't know it until we started building out those connections and getting those stories back into product, and then also changing our entire business strategy because of it. It was enormous in terms of the monetary gains around that. It was also enormous in terms of morale. When it came to our product owners, they became enabled and empowered to problem solve, which is what you hire them for. These are really smart, creative people that want to strategize and solve problems for folks and build really cool things. If you can't find that information in a matter of a few hours, you're in trouble. That should be something very easy for you to get. And that is something very easy for your POs to get, so that you can have intelligent conversations around road mapping and what needs to come for the future of your product. Your product teams and your engineers, there's going to be a faster turnout in terms of the work that they are building, not in a sense of let's build everything super fast, but they're focused. You want teams that have some fire because they already know what's going to happen, or they already know what their customers are feeling and they're fighting for it. There's morale. You're going to have less attrition because people are excited for what they're doing and how they're building. And you're also going to have an increase in quality over time with the stuff that's actually rolling out. The correct builds, the level of quality, and significantly reduced bugs and release escapes because of this. They're not going to be focused on too many different things. They're going to be focused on a handful of things, which allows them to spend more time testing and rolling out the right product first. So these are just small pieces that I think you can find. And in the course of a couple of quarters, you'll see that come in monetization as well, with how your customers are buying and how your customers are renewing.
Anna, Prevo is great. And those results, improved renewal rates, better morale, reduced bugs, that's the comprehensive impact we're after. Now, Aliyah, You've built voice of the customer programs that fundamentally change how teams prioritize. How does this translate to ROI, especially around that crucial insight about data not lying?
I did mention voice of the customer and how that translates to ROI, but overall, by implementing product ops programs like the voice of the customer, you find there's a faster time to insights, and that makes better product bets. Starting out with the voice of the customer program, when a company first initiates it, it's a lot of tech debt, fixing problems. But as that program matures and evolves, it becomes an engine that influences future product creation, levers that the motivation, so to say, that you pulled within those product engineering teams, it becomes part of their framework. And they come to you now because of your understanding of the current customer base that you have on future products. And then you find that you start building a better kind of product synthesis. And then I also think that it has reduced duplications. You find that you are doing meaningful work. You wear many hats and put out many fires, but that is really essential because you put teams together that otherwise wouldn't talk to each other. When I first started my career in product operations, I was baffled that we are building this product but not talking together. We just need one product operations person to bring that together, communicate, build something with real efficiency. The last one, I think, is just clearer prioritization and high alignment and morale. So when we have a structure like the VOC, we can influence product teams to understand what is the most important initiative that they can focus on that will get them closer to the goal of the OKRs, whatever those may be. And that factors into road mapping. Hopefully that answers the question. I'm actually a data nerd. I love data. I think people lie, but data does not. You can tell stories through data. You can really tell an end-to-end process through data. So when it comes to road mapping, I think that's really important for me, is understanding what the data is saying, coupling that with the customer feedback, and then prioritizing based on individual OKRs and goals.
Aliyah Mahomed was brilliant. And when you think about the evolution from fixing tech debt to becoming an engine for future product creation, that's the maturity journey every product ops function should aspire to. Next, Lucy Pitticas-Rothwell. You've tackled one of our biggest challenges, measuring varied non-digital work. Plus, you're using AI to give PMs their time back. Wouldn't you share your approach with us, please?
I could talk to you all day about impact. It's something we've been thinking about a lot recently. We're still learning, but we have developed a process that's working quite well for us. You've been a product manager. I've been a product manager. In product management, we measure everything. Although we measure different things, and there's quite a lot of thinking that needs to go into how to measure things in the right way. Often the method is similar. You release a feature, you look at the product analytics, things like adoption, conversion rates, and a lot of those numbers are generated automatically based on the release. In product ops, we can't always do that because the work we do is so varied and it's not always digital. For example, 1 minute we may be working on creating a new idea for a roadmap. 1 minute we might be coming up with a new process for OKR planning. Another minute we might be coming up with a new competitor analysis library so that people can access competitor data more easily. All these things are in different systems. They're measured in different ways. So we struggled quite a bit at the beginning because there's often also obviously quite a lag between the work we do. Well, so if we make a proposal for the product roadmap, it might be a year before that goes in, but we want to somehow try and measure it now so we can track our work. So basically we came up with a definition of what impact is in product operations. We define that as a positive change, action, or decision that happens as a result of our work. We broke that down into 6 different types of impact we're trying to have. So for example, one is that one of our proposals makes it to the product roadmap. Another one might be that we've done some segmentation analysis, and as a result, the product strategy for 2026 has decided to focus on cohort X rather than cohort Y. So that we would count that as a decision. Another one would be improved ways of working. For example, a new OKR planning process has just been released to 150 people in our company. It's now being used by them. We're getting good feedback, and we understand it could hopefully save them time in the future as well. We've had really good feedback from product managers so far. They are so busy, and anything we can do to save them time is welcome because we're not automating their entire jobs.
We're trying to siphon off the parts that can be automated so that they can do more of that creative thinking. We're trying to give them more time to do that creative thinking. And we believe that's more enjoyable for them, but also better for the business.
Remember, these aren't just success stories. They're blueprints for transformation. Ada showed us how exposing cross-team dependencies unlocks economies of scale. Orla demonstrated that product ops prevents burnout while driving consistency, and approved the direct link between customer connection and revenue retention, while Aliyah revealed how voice of the customer programs evolve from fixing problems to driving strategy. And Lucy gave us a framework for measuring even the most intangible impacts while using AI to return hours to every PM's week. And the thread connecting them all? Product operations isn't about just process for process's sake. It's about creating the conditions for product teams to excel across those 4 critical competencies: voice of the customer, prioritization, data fluency, and stakeholder management. As the brilliant Anna said, you already have product operations. It's just hidden in the time your PMs spent searching for data, building their own processes, and acting as human middleware. I love that. And the question isn't whether you need product ops, it's whether you'll formalize it and unlock its full potential. And if you're ready to take this forward, join Anna, Prevo, and me on September the 12th for our ProductBoard webinar, where we'll show you exactly how to position product ops as the strategic enabler for AI initiatives. We'll share tactics that have worked, language that resonates with executives, and real examples of measurable impact. Register at productboard.com/events or look for the link below in the description. Now remember, product operations doesn't just save time, it multiplies impact. Stop letting your product managers burn out on operational tasks and start enabling them to do what they do best: solve customer problems and drive business value. Until next time, I'm Webb. Now go measure that impact. Bye for now.